I can't help to ask, man. Istana Dunia?
Oh shit. What?
What the
Where
hell
do you
is
see that? Oh, your wife? Istana Dunia, palace of the world, yeah. This is my palace in my world. But yeah, Istana Dunia is the name of my Wi-Fi, and I've got a guest network for like my smart devices. Like for example, my washing machine is Wi-Fi connected, but I don't want it to be connected to my main network, so I have a secondary guest network, and that one is titled Kaki Tangan. So Morgan and I are going to talk about the services or softwares that we pay for. And I think it's best if we split this up into 2 episodes. This episode is going to be about email providers and password managers. And the second episode is going to be about everything else. We are both proponents of using a password manager, and we're both happy to pay for email.
It's something that both of us care deeply about, and it's also the spark of our friendship. Both of us actually we met 4 years ago in a workshop organized by one of our former companies. So Adam is one of the few instructors over there, and one day he just passed by my table and he noticed that I have DuckDuckGo as my search engine. This got us talking about privacy, got us talking about what kind of email providers we're using and how to move away from the Google ecosystem. And yeah, I think this is our first real conversation as friends.
Yep. And then many months later, you ended up joining the same company. And we spent, as colleagues, we spent quite a bit of time together. And eventually that turned into being friends. And we've stayed in touch ever since.
Until somebody go to Netherlands and didn't reply anyone.
And now we have a podcast together. I can go first. So email, I pay for FastMail. And it's about $50 a year. And I know for like some people who are used to using free email that it's like that it sounds insane to be paying for email, but I feel quite comfortable doing it because I don't feel comfortable with my mail being analyzed for ad purposes. Just like physical mail, I don't like people opening my physical mail to read what the contents are. So that's the reason why I'm happy to pay for my email. It'd be really funny if I'm completely wrong about this and it turns out that FastMail does open up all of my mail anyway. But
I do think that FastMail doesn't read your messages because I think encryption is part of their feature list as well. And it's also one of the things that you mentioned to me, the reason why you use FastMail because of their strong encryption as well. I'm using ProtonMail for my email services. I think the primary reason why ProtonMail has this brand about having the best encryption and they care about customers and all that because it's the angle they go for. So whenever they talk about our services, encryption is the first feature that came out.
ProtonMail is what Snowden used to use, right? Does he still use it?
No. Snowden used to use another email client. I forgot what's the name already. It's already defunct already because the US government wants access to that service and...
Tutanota.
Is it? No. Tutanota is still alive, man. No, Tutanota is still alive. Let me double check. Lavabit.
Oh, Lavabit. Okay, yeah.
So the email client that Edward Snowden used before he was exiled in Russia was the service Lavabit. The US government tried to access to the stuff on Lavabit because Lavabit, their servers are in the United States. So the government has like a subpoena power to force their way to access data that is on US soil. So Lavabit is shut down. Back to ProtonMail. The point I'm trying to say is that I think when FastMail came to the market, it's just trying to be an alternative email client where ProtonMail, when it comes to the market, it wants to be the encrypted email service based in Swiss that nobody has subpoena power over them. So when we talk about encrypted email service provider, ProtonMail is always the first one that came to mind. For ProtonMail, I'm paying $3.30 per month. I've been subscribed to them for the past 2 years, I think. They have been adding more and more storage to us, to the paid users. So right now I have accumulated 18 gigs for my email storage. So I think that's more than enough to last a very long time.
And this one allows you to use a custom domain?
For the paid tier, yes, it gives you an option to have a custom domain. Only one custom domain. How many custom domains does FastMail provide you?
I can use as many as I want. I have emails under multiple domains. So it's very easy to create throwaway emails. I have many throwaway emails for a lot of the services which ask for your email, but I don't think they should know my email. So I have like 5 throwaway addresses under different domains that I use. But the good thing about FastMail is that if you don't have your own domains, they also provide you a list of domains that they own that you can create usernames under. And there's like I don't know, at least 100 domains that they own. Yeah, you can create a lot of throwaway addresses this way.
I think it might be quite handy when it comes to, for example, you are creating a e-commerce website, and when users sign up, you want to test whether the email that you sent to your customers, whether would it go into their spam email folder. And having a throwaway email, it's easy to test that. There's a service that I use. Can you see under my list? There's a Temp
Mail.
This is what I use when I want to use throwaway emails. It's quite neat, man.
I used to use like a service called Gorilla Mail, and it's or like 7-minute mail. But what I found was that eventually websites, other websites caught on, and a lot of them actually block, at least from what I've experienced, some websites intentionally block email addresses generated from these websites.
But it's difficult, I would say, because there will always be different email domains, and it's impossible to block all types of domains. So for our listeners out there, might not be aware that both Adam and me, we care about our privacy a lot. That's why we pay for our email providers, where the average user, perhaps Gmail is enough for them. I'm convinced that people is not aware how much Google is reading through their emails.
Do you think people actually care about that?
I think people are just not aware of the power of reading your mails potentially can do. Another thing is the stereotype. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to pay for my email client. Then if you tell them that actually I'm just paying $3 per month for my email client, that doesn't sound too bad.
I think it's also hard to convince people to open up to the idea that you have to pay for email in the first place. I think we grew up in a generation where email was always free. There was AOL, there was Hotmail, there was
Yahoo, man, Yahoo.
Gmail. Yeah, Yahoo, yeah. So I think a lot of people grew up with just accepting the fact that email is free.
I think another strong point that people are reluctant to change emails is because it's very difficult to change emails. Like, for example, your first email, it's definitely going to be one of the free email services, right? Because it's your first email and you're not too sure whether to commit to paying an email. So the first one would definitely either be Gmail or Hotmail.
So question for you then, do you still have an email account under Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo?
For my case, I have to use a Gmail account because, surprise, surprise, I'm an Android developer. So in order to have a developer account, I think you need a Gmail.
You need a Google account.
Yeah, I need a Google account. Last time when I registered for my developer account, it was a Gmail. I'm not too sure how easily you can change it, but I like the idea of having 2 separate accounts. So my Gmail is going to be my developer stuff only, and for my ProtonMail, it's going to be my personal stuff. Anyways, I set up like a forwarding address. So whenever something goes into my Gmail, it will forward to my ProtonMail. I got a lot of funny stories about using ProtonMail as well. When I write emails to people, the domain at protonmail.com, people will assume that I'm working for Proton. So for non-Malaysia listeners, Proton is like the Malaysian car manufacturer.
Well, it's not just a car manufacturer. To make the point clear, Proton is the first government-owned car manufacturing company in Malaysia. So they produce a lot of local cars. And I think on the streets, probably easily you could say 50% of the cars are Proton.
I would say 60.
True. Okay. There's a lot more Myvis on the streets. 25%, I would say.
Oh, no. Because we are mixing Proton and Perdua, right?
Yeah. But this is a very Malaysian problem, yeah? Because the name Proton isn't really known anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually not too. Interestingly, when I was in Ireland, I had a colleague from Egypt. And when I told him I was from Malaysia, he was like, oh, you guys, like Proton is from Malaysia, right? And then I was like, yeah. And then he said, oh yeah, I own the Saga in Egypt, in Cairo. And it turns out that a lot of people in Cairo, like Proton is considered to be like in Malaysia, like Honda is like an upgrade from all the local car companies. Over there in Cairo, Proton was seen as like an upgrade from the local car options. So he showed me like the Proton Saga club in Cairo and everything, and it's just a bit crazy to see all of this. But there's definitely a market for Proton cars. outside of Malaysia. And I do know they're imported into the UK as well, but they're considered
Wow.
dirt cheap and, like lower end cars, obviously. But yeah, you do see Protons in UK as well.
Do you know that the exported Proton cars and the Proton cars in Malaysia are very different quality?
I see. I'm assuming the exported ones are higher quality. Yeah.
It's like how we run things in Malaysia, man. Like in Cameron Highlands, if you have a very premium fruit quality, like a AAA quality of any vegetables, then we will export it to Singapore, where the A class or the B class, it would be sold locally because the currency situation in Malaysia. Because you can sell much higher price in Singapore with the 3 times currency conversion rate better than the ones in Malaysia. So the situation also for cars as well. So they sell much better quality Protons to overseas like Brunei, UK, and Egypt, where the Proton in Malaysia has a lot of problems, especially the power window situation.
Back then, like in our generation, like the Pedro Kancil, the Proton Saga, and the Proton Wira and everything, none of those cars were actually, they're all just rebadged versions of Japanese cars. Yeah. Like off the top of my head, I might be wrong here, but the Proton Wira is a 3rd generation Lancer. The Proton Saga is a Mitsubishi Mirage. The Perodua Kembara is a Daihatsu Terios. The Kancil is a Daihatsu Mira. What else?
I'm like, shit, man. Like, we are going a totally different route today.
We're going totally into a different tangent. Yeah, it's. Yeah.
Oh man, I was like, oh shit, why the hell are we talking about Proton cars again? I'm like, oh man, oh my God.
Because of your email. Okay. So we both pay for password managers. I see you pay for OnePassword. I pay for Bitwarden. Yours is $5 a month, which is much more expensive.
Wait, before that, could we talk about what is password manager?
Well, you've got a whole article that you want to plug.
I got a whole.
So Morgan here, he wants to talk about password managers because he wants to plug his blog post that he wrote. So Morgan has written an article about what password managers are and why you should use a password manager. We'll link that in the show notes, so you should check that out.
Yeah. Actually, my intention is not to self-promote my article. My intention is trying to kind of explain to people what password managers are. Because, how to say, when people think about passwords, maybe they think about your Chrome browser when they save their password, but they didn't think that there's actually a software that specializes in managing your passwords, like a password manager. So, since just now you start first, now I can start first. So I'm paying $5 per month for OnePassword. This is actually the family plan. So I'm actually sharing this family plan with 4 of my family members.
Who are your 4 family members?
Screw you, man. So I'm basically paying $1 a month for my password managers. So password manager, I feel like it's something that you find it convenient once you use it, and you can't live without it. Because it's so easy to change password, to store passwords, and never have to worry about passwords ever again. So yeah, that's why I'm using it right now, OnePassword. So which password manager you're using right now?
I am using Bitwarden. If your question is why, I don't really have a strong excuse for it. I used to use LastPass, and I used to pay for LastPass Premium, and then they got bought over by LogMeIn, which is a company that I was not super comfortable using the services of at the time. So I was looking for an alternative.
Is it because it's a Chinese company?
It has nothing to do with it being a Chinese company, but I think because of what they did to Hamachi last time. Hamachi was what was Hamachi? It was like a virtual private LAN software that we used to use back in the day. And then when they bought over Hamachi, they kind of, they made it into something that I didn't like. So when they bought over LastPass, I was also not so keen on what direction they were going to take LastPass in. So I was just looking around for alternatives at the time, and I think there was Dashlane, there was OnePassword, and there was Bitwarden. And Bitwarden just kind of fell into a nice spot where the clients were open source, but they still offered a premium option to pay for the service, and it was a lot cheaper at $10 a year. Then I did the transition from LastPass to Bitwarden.
How's the transition like?
Painful. Well, I guess I could have done it automatically, but one thing I wanted to do, like one thing I told myself was, when you do this transition, this is also a good chance for you to audit all of the accounts that you have across all of your services, and basically decide the ones which you want to keep and delete the ones that you don't want to use anymore. So that process was long and tedious.
When was the transition?
I believe right now it probably would have been almost 3 years ago.
The reason why I brought this up, because recently I've also moved from LastPass to OnePassword. I was using LastPass for the past 7 years, I think. Actually, there's a export tool that allows you to export all your password into a CSV file, I think. So actually, the whole transition for me, it's like a 3-minute process. I think either you missed that or it's not provided during that time.
I mean, but like I said as well, even if there was such a service, I wanted to do everything manually as a chance to audit my accounts and only keep the ones that I really wanted to keep.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, how big is your password vault?
Oh, so this leads on to another problem where after I started going full like Mac OS, iOS and everything, I also realized that iCloud Keychain is part of the iCloud suite, and Apple is very clear about the fact that they push you to use iCloud Keychain. So I've also got a bunch of passwords now saved in iCloud, and it's really annoying. Like I'm still tolerating this right now, but anytime there's a password prompt, I have to kind of remember whether I have it saved in Bitwarden or in iCloud.
Wait. I don't understand. Why do you want to use iCloud Keychain?
Because of the way that, for example, if you sign up for a new account, and Apple will automatically suggest the password to use using iCloud Keychain. And as far as I know, they do not allow third-party apps to provide the same functionality. So when it comes up with hey, we suggest you to use this password prompt, then it's just a lot easier to say, okay, let's just use this password and just save it, and it goes straight into iCloud Keychain, rather than having to open up Bitwarden or OnePassword and manually type in the email and password and save the account manually. But it also comes with its own problems, which is the suggested password for iCloud Keychain. You cannot choose the criteria of the password. So if you happen to go to a website where it says, okay, you need to have special characters, you need to have this number of letters, which I think is a stupid requirement, by the way, but some websites do really require this. You realize very quickly that iCloud Keychain you cannot tell iCloud Keychain, hey, I need a password which is X characters long and contains special characters. When those kind of situations occur, I still have to open up Bitwarden and save the account manually. But it's just annoying. I don't know what the solution is here.
Well, it's annoying. It's annoying because you're choosing to live the iOS life, right? iPad and the iPad life, man. It's not worth it, man.
Yeah, like I'm trying to go all in, but like, yeah, I don't know.
No worries, man. Because iOS 15 gonna have support for Safari plugins, and maybe that will alleviate the problem.
Oh, yeah, true. Maybe that might alleviate the problem. Yes.
Yeah. Provided you register account in Safari.
Yeah, we'll see. So I don't know how many emails I have saved in iCloud Keychain. It looks to I'm scrolling through. It looks to be about 50, maybe.
50?
In Bitwarden, I have 160. Yeah, in Bitwarden, I have 164 passwords saved.
Interesting, because
which is not a lot, I think.
Because I think both of us has around the same amount of passwords.
But like, why do we have this many? I think this is too much.
No, man. I got friends who still have login password to their previous 2 companies. They're just laying there dead and it's not usable anymore, but it's still there.
I see. Okay.
Is it too much? I don't think so.
Well, I don't like having this many accounts. I'm sure this is part of having a password manager, so that you don't have to necessarily care about how many accounts you have or what the passwords are. But I still feel like at some point you can't have too many accounts.
Think about it this way. Do you rather have multiple accounts, or you want to sign in using Facebook, sign in using Google?
I do not want to sign in using Facebook or Google for sure. So I guess I just wish the accounts were a bit more categorized. Like I used to have a system called level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 1 accounts were all the accounts which I deemed absolutely critical. like accounts that I cannot live without. Level 2 accounts are accounts that, maybe I could get rid of them if I really wanted to, but I still use them. And level 3 accounts are basically all of the disposable accounts, like the accounts that you create on websites, which I don't think I want to keep. But I haven't been keeping up with categorizing them, and they're now all over the place.
For my case is I have personal accounts and my company accounts.
You keep your company accounts on your personal password manager.
Yep.
Why?
Because stronger passwords.
Okay. Using the company email, I've signed up for LastPass accounts, and I always keep my work passwords on the LastPass account tied to the work email.
For me, it's just easier in one place. And when you move on to a different company, it's easier to clear it in one place.
Well, for me, when I move on to a different company, I don't have to clear anything because, I just dump the LastPass account. So I guess it's down to personal preference, obviously, but I don't know. I would not prefer having work emails in my personal password manager.
I do have a separate section that saves my Wi-Fi passwords or the Wi-Fi passwords that I visited. So next time when I go to my grandparents' place, when people ask me about, hey, what's the Wi-Fi password again? I'm like, let me open up my password manager for that. Versus, like, what's the password again? Yeah. Do you save your Wi-Fi password in your password manager?
No, because...
Because you don't have friends in Netherlands, right?
Well, I do, but my system has been, I use my home address as the Wi-Fi password.
So now everyone knows Istana Dunia's Wi-Fi password.
If you get close enough, if you can enter the building and you can actually connect to my Wi-Fi access point, then if you know exactly which unit I'm living in, then yes, you can log into my Wi-Fi.
No. Log into your Istana Dunia, man.
Physical security, man. Physical security, yeah.
All right. So anything else you want to add for password manager?
I'm still not happy with my setup. I pay for Bitwarden, but I only use it about 70% of the time. The rest I use iCloud Keychain, and I really don't like the fact that I have to always guess where my account is. Why do I do this? I don't really know. It's just I wish Apple would allow third-party password managers to suggest passwords. I wished that flow was a lot easier because I find it really cumbersome to have to switch to my password management app, generate a password, and then switch back to the sign up form and put that password in. It's not a smooth process, and I think it's a bit of a barrier for me to fully adopt using a third-party password manager.
If I'm in your situation, right, whenever I need to create an account, I will just go to my computer to do that first. Think about it, right? When you are creating an account, you can do it once. And you might as well bite the bullet and go open your bloody computer just to register the account. So next time you don't have to worry about using iCloud Keychain.
Also, another wrench to throw into this discussion is that I forgot about sign in with Apple. You mentioned Google and Facebook right now, but I did not mention Apple. I will choose sign in with Apple if that's an option. Because when you sign in with Apple, you can hide your email. So that makes it a lot more difficult for me because I now need to think about 3 places. Did I sign in with Apple? Do I have the password saved in Bitwarden? Or do I have the password saved in iCloud Keychain? And I do not like the fact that I have to do this mental gymnastics every time I am logging into a service, which I do not log in frequently to. If it's something that I log into all the time, then I definitely know where it is. But once in a while, you log into a service that you haven't used in a while, and the sign in with Apple, and I have to try every time. Does signing with Apple work? It doesn't work. I open Bitwarden. Is it saved there? No. Then I guess it's an iCloud Keychain.
Yeah, I think signing with Apple is quite a game changer. But the reason I don't want to bring it up because you need to have an iOS account or an iOS device in order to use that.
You do, yeah. Correct.
Right.
Wait, do you? I don't think that's correct.
You can't have a Windows account.
I don't think that's correct because on Windows you can sign up for an Apple account even though you're already on Windows, yeah. And I don't know whether websites, I don't know whether you have to be running Mac OS or iPad to, because it's just like signing in with Gmail, where I imagine if you're on a Windows computer, you click sign in with Apple, you get redirected to the login page for your Apple ID, put in your Apple ID, and then it does the offload with the website that way. I don't think you need an iOS device.
Yeah, I think you might be right. So I guess this sums up what me and Adam uses for our email providers and our password managers. I would say that it makes the most impact in our lives when it comes to managing our privacy. And I think having a good email provider and a password manager help things along.
Another way to phrase this is that if I was starting over completely from scratch, the first thing I would do is to sign up for an email provider. And the second thing I would do is to sign up for a password manager. I think these are the two things that you need in order to start having like an online identity of some sort. And you can choose a free email provider if you want, but I would prefer going for a paid one. Password manager is just, for me now, it's a basic requirement of being on the internet, I feel. So these are the two things the first two things I would sign up for if I was starting over from scratch again. Everything else can come later, I think.
So for our listeners out there, actually, ProtonMail has a very generous free tier. It actually gives you 500 megs for storage, although it sounds little, but it's just emails. And I think it's quite sufficient to be your first email on the internet. Yeah, that's my advice for people is that if you're starting out, you can try out with ProtonMail first. And if you're happy, you can pay for ProtonMail, or you can move to services like what Adams is using, FastMail, which provides more versatile features. Would you say that, Adam?
I don't know whether you call it a bit more versatile. I don't really have a strong argument for which service to choose. But what I can say is that FastMail does not provide a free tier. The cheapest one comes at, the basic plan comes in at $3 a month or $30 a year. That's the basic plan. And with that, you get 2 gigs of storage per user. And you don't get to use custom domains, but you do get to choose from the list of alias domains. So I'm just going to read off some of the options you have. So you can create an alias at 123mail.org, sent.as, elitemail.org, ftml.net, mailc.net. It's like a bunch of emails, like a bunch of domains that you can use that are owned by FastMail. And then you can create aliases at these emails. For example, you can have an account where it is, the Great Morgan at postinbox.com, for example. And this comes with the basic plan that FastMail offers. So if you are going for, if that's also a way that you can maintain your privacy by not using your real email address, then that's, FastMail can offer you that. I think with ProtonMail, you do not get this feature, right?
For the free tier, yes. But ProtonMail has a shortener email. Mm-hmm. So besides of having the @protonmail.com domain, they also provide a short and cool domain called @pm.me. PM as in private messaging. So yeah, I think that's quite cool if you want to have 2 domains for @protonmail.com or @pmail.me. So yeah, ProtonMail or FastMail, leave your likes and comments down there. Who's the best?